John Wayne Gacy ate a bucket of fried chicken and a pound of strawberries. Ted Bundy had steak, eggs, and hash browns. Ethel and Julius Rosenberg, the married couple who were Soviet spies during the Cold War, they had fish, mashed potatoes, beans, and Jell-O. And none of those people ever ate anything again. Those meals I described were their last meals, served hours, maybe minutes before they were executed for their crimes. The death row last meal is a fascinating tradition, and for some people it's an obsession. Josh Slavin is an online foodie with almost 3 million followers and subscribers, and for the past year, he's been researching, recreating, preparing, eating, and best of all, ranking the last meals of some of history's most notorious criminals, and he's here live, not only to talk about it, I think you're going to do a show me. You got some show and tell for me as well. Josh, what is up with this hobby? How did you get into this?
You know, I think it started as just a typical morbid curiosity that someone might have. And I've always been interested in creating content surrounding food and just generally whatever interests me. And one day I kind of went down the rabbit hole of death row final meals. And I just sat and thought about it. And it's a really interesting thing. It's very rare that someone knows when they're going to die, how they're going to die, where it's going to happen. And it's even more rare that they're granted a final wish of whatever they want to eat before they die. So I decided to dive into it, and it's a really interesting kind of world that I wanted to share with my audience.
Well, start bringing in the stuff, and while you're doing that, I'm going to ask you a question. I did not know this. I just assumed everybody would ask for the most expensive, extravagant steak and lobster and all the rest. And as it turns out, fancy is not what most of them are after. What are they after?
You know, it varies. Some people are trying to make a statement, and some people just want a great meal. I think one interesting meal that immediately comes to mind that kind of illustrates one of the more interesting ends of the spectrum is the meal that was requested by Victor Fager. This is it. A singular olive with the pit. There we go.
An olive with a pit.
Basically,
that's it.
An olive with a pit. His goal was for when he dies for an olive tree to sprout from his grave as a sign of peace. He was buried in Iowa, and an olive tree did not sprout from his grave, but it's the thought that counts, I guess, right?
So wait, let me just make sure I heard that right. The olive tree did not sprout from his grave, despite the fact that he ate the olive in the pit before he was executed.
That's correct. He brought the pit of the olive with him into his grave. No olive tree sprouted. I think Iowa's probably not the best growing conditions for olive trees.
It's a good point. Who's your next choice?
So basically what I do with my series is I like to illustrate the entire spectrum of what condemned individuals might request for their final meal. I showed you the olive, and that's something that I would generally rank as low. But more inmates, as we kind of climb up the totem pole, request things that are a little bit more standard, whether it be a platter of barbecue or maybe for the hungrier inmates, an entire pizza or a bucket of fried chicken. Lots of inmates like to request typical comfort foods like maybe a chili cheese dog or a bacon cheeseburger, or they like to request a piece of cake or maybe an entire cake. It kind of varies. But as we start to climb up the totem pole to some of the more extreme picks, they don't select one of these items. They select all of these items. Some people request entire cakes, whole pizzas, gigantic spreads. So it's really vast spectrum between the olive or one inmate requested dirt and this.
Dirt, wait, stop, wait. Somebody requested dirt as a last meal? That's a bit of a statement.
Yeah, so James Edward Smith requested a clump of Ryakunda dirt, and I think it's graveyard dirt, and his goal was to perform a voodoo reincarnation ritual, but unfortunately for him, Ryakunda dirt was not on the list of approved foods for your final meal request, so he settled for a cup of yogurt.
Well, I thought it was kind of interesting that Timothy McVeigh wanted 2 pints of mint chocolate chip ice cream. Eileen Warnos in Florida, she got $20 for her budget, and all she wanted was a cup of coffee. But is there a budget every state? Like, do they have a particular budget or rules? Or are there some states who say, you know, sky's the limit?
You know, it varies. Some states are very, very liberal with what they'll give. They'll tend to grant anything. In the past, Texas was by far the most accommodating state. You could basically request anything and it will get accepted until 2011, when Lawrence Russell Brewer requested a feast probably larger than the size of everything I have on my table here. And when it came, he basically said he wasn't hungry and he was just going to pass on the meal. And Texas definitely took that as a slap in the face, because from then on out, they banned final meals even till today.
Wow, in Texas. So, boy, you go out really lousy. Okay. I want to ask you this question because you know more about the last meal than probably any of us. If this was your choice, if you had to order a last meal, what would it be?
That's a question I get a lot. And I'm typically pretty tight-lipped on it because that's the way that I plan to end the series. I rank all these different meals and I show what I think is bad. I show what I think is good. But my goal is to find what I believe to be the greatest final meal request of all time. And that's obviously what I would select. So I think it would have, general characteristics of being a cohesive spread with lots of quantity and lots of variety. I want a full orchestra, woodwind, brass, strings, everything coming together, because it's the last sensory experiences you get in the world.
Is it ever? Let's just hope that you can just continue to make what you like on your own and that you don't have to rely on the state and whatever budget there might be in your particular state. Okay, Josh Slavin, I'm going to keep watching you because I want to know what eventually you're going to tell us. I'm assuming it might be some kind of filet and lobster, but the comfort food is what always gets me. I see so much comfort food, and maybe that's what they're looking for. They're looking for comfort. Thank you for doing this. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on, Ashleigh. Appreciate it.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.